So we have some breaking news that Mayor Pete Buttigieg has dropped out of the 2020 presidential race. He is suspending his campaign. And this really isn't too much of a surprise. He raised a lot of money initially, but it started to trickle a little bit. Pete Buttigieg has also been unable to demonstrate any significant support among Latino or African American populations. And I think crucially, Pete Buttigieg has one goal, like many of the corporate Democrats, which is to stop Bernie Sanders, and dropping out right now is seen as a last-ditch effort to try and hurt Bernie Sanders in the delegate count and perhaps to try to help Joe Biden. Now, on the one hand, the polling is really conflicted on where Buttigieg's support goes. Some polls indicate that Buttigieg's support goes to Bernie Sanders first. Other polls show different things. So all we can say is it doesn't look like one person will universally benefit from Pete Buttigieg dropping out. But what Pete Buttigieg dropping out might do is bring more candidates above the threshold in various states. Put another way, if Elizabeth Warren was at 14% in a certain state, and now Pete Buttigieg was at 10% and drops out, even if Warren only gets 2% of Buttigieg's 10, that makes her viable now, which means that she'll get some of the delegates, and that means Bernie Sanders will get less. So, Buttigieg dropping out right now, at least, allows more viability among the lower-ranking candidates, which means a higher chance of a contested convention, which means further the greater opportunity for the neoliberal Democrats, the corporate Democrats, and the superdelegates to steal this from Bernie Sanders. And this is precisely why Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar haven't dropped out just yet. Because if they drop out today, it's almost guaranteed that that will cause a Bernie wave in states like Minnesota and Massachusetts, the two home states of those two senators. And Joe Biden and the neoliberal Democrats don't want that by any means. So, the decisions being made right now, guys, the Occam's razor here is that it's all being done. I don't know if it's fully coordinated or if it's sort of subconsciously being coordinated to stop Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden won South Carolina. I think a lot of people are realizing that he's probably the one, if anyone, to stop Bernie Sanders. Pete Buttigieg realized that him staying in the race just takes away viability from other candidates and could give Bernie Sanders a virtual sweep in California, whereas him dropping out could give Warren and Biden key viability in the biggest state in the country. And Klobuchar and Warren, even if just until the end of Super Tuesday, will hurt Bernie Sanders in a lot of key northern and midwestern states, where Bernie Sanders running up the score could make all the difference when it comes to him winning a delegate majority. So Pete Buttigieg's campaign had some history behind it. I don't want to downplay the fact that he was the first openly LGBTQ person to run for president and have a credible shot of doing so. That's historic. But Pete Buttigieg represents so much of what's wrong with modern neoliberal politics. The billionaire backing, the cynical talking points, the fake agendas, lying about your opponents, trying to present fundamental inequalities and injustices as choice. Pete Buttigieg was a rat, and he deserves nothing less than to be out of this race. But the fact is, at the end of the day, all of this is being done to stop Bernie Sanders, but it's not going to work because fundamentally, people still understand that Bernie Sanders is the only one that can deliver a broad, diverse, unified coalition to defeat Donald Trump with good working class centric ideas and not a corporate neoliberalism that Trump's fake populism will be able to dismantle. We already tried the career neoliberal Democrat who loves anti-worker trade deals and anti-worker policies more broadly defined. That was Hillary Clinton, and she lost. She lost the presidency, she lost the House, she lost the Senate, she lost the Supreme Court, she lost every single bit of it. Joe Biden is Hillary Clinton, but he's even less likable. He doesn't have the history behind him. It will be an awful choice if the Democrats go with Joe Biden. And all of the coordination by Klobuchar and Warren and Buttigieg won't make a difference because Bernie Sanders on Super Tuesday is going to rack up a big lead. And I know that however much they want to do it, the Democratic Party has to realize, and they have to realize now, that if they steal the nomination from Bernie Sanders, if people like Pete Buttigieg use their delegates and their exit timing to take the nomination from Bernie Sanders, then mark my words, they will not only lose an election, they will lose a generation of young, passionate activists. They'll never get that back.